Yo, 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 what is going on, guys? Thoughtful Banter podcast right here. I am Matty with my co-host Hussein.
We back.
Yes, sir, we back. We want to start this podcast like all of the other episodes, so shouting out the wonderful patrons. So you want to give it a shot?
Bro, you asked me this on the spot, but I'm going to try to remember off the top of my head.
You got it. I believe you.
We got Ali.
Yep.
We got Latifa.
Yeah.
We got Tijan.
Yeah.
We got Jordan.
Yeah.
We got Muhammad.
Yeah.
And we got Justin.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. It's been every time I record, you know, like I always feel like a little bit of like, I don't know if it's anxiety, but like resistance before recording. You know, we gotta get out all this equipment, but whenever I can hear my own voice, like the headphones are on, and I get the mic.
You
I'm
just
excited.
sound mad professional.
Yeah. I'm excited to be back into this,
especially because the last episode we did, I'm sure you guys heard like a noticeable like audio difference.
Yeah, especially towards the end of it.
But we didn't have. I didn't have my computer. I didn't have my laptop, and then Matty's laptop like broke.
It was bad planning.
Yeah,
from
it was
both
just
of
bad
us.
planning. So like we had to get the episode out, but we didn't have the equipment we needed, so we just did it on our phone.
And it was funny. That was one of the best episodes, if not the best episode, at least between just you and me, in terms of like our chemistry and flow. So I think it goes to show that planning is important, but getting in that extra rep.
Yeah, getting in the reps.
That's so important. We have some more controversial news to cover this week. I'm gonna let Hussein start us off with it. Give your thoughts, because I personally haven't done I haven't done any research on it. I just have my biases, and I look at it, I'm like, oh, there are my thoughts, but I'm gonna hand the mic to you.
I haven't done really too much research on it either, but we're basically, I'm sure you guys, it's all in the news. Basically, it's all that's in the news. The Kyle Rittenhouse verdict, and basically he was found not guilty on all 5 charges. And I know like just immediately there's like strong reactions from like the black community. There's strong reactions from the left, quote unquote. So there's all these like different actors and regular individuals involved in the mix, and then obviously you have the opposite reaction from like people on the right, quote unquote, but again, I kind of kept myself aloof from all of like the proceedings or whatever, just because it's exhausting, like, to be completely honest. Keeping up with all this, I was like, I didn't know, I wasn't like completely sharp on like the details of the case, right? I didn't want to like watch the court proceedings. I didn't want to do any of that, and so for that reason, I didn't really have a strong opinion, because I didn't really know what happened. I know 2 people died, but I didn't know anything. I know 2 people died that were killed by Kyle Rittenhouse, but I didn't know anything else outside of that. And so I basically had kept myself purposefully kind of aloof from it, because I really, like I said, it kind of is exhausting just to go through this and keep following it so meticulously. And I felt like the last year, especially like in the last year that we had over the quarantine, honestly, I was just drained from like even putting mental energy to like watching these cases, watching the result of these cases, like, and then going back and forth with people on different sides of the spectrum, either people who I think were like maybe on the right side, but like their reactions are too heavy, like they're too heavy-handed, and then also people who are like, quote unquote, I think are wrong, or on the wrong side, and then they're also like heavy-handed in the exact opposite direction. Yeah, and it's just a pain in the butt. But anyways,
it's a mess.
So yeah, I don't really, like Matthew, I don't really know too much about this case either. I did a quick little research before I got on the mic, and basically from what I could see, I think there are broader conversations about like maybe the morality of what Rittenhouse was doing, or maybe like should he have been there, for example, or like what does setting this legal precedent say for like people who are acting in vigilante ways in the future. I think that's more of like an interesting conversation to me, just because from what I understand, and even the little bit I saw in the trial, because I did like do some like research about this, it kind of seemed like self-defense. It kind of seemed like self-defense.
Yeah.
And like I know that like I know that like one of the reasons why people might have an issue with this is because like if the roles were like, say it was a black kid who killed like 2 white dudes,
Oh, he'd been done. No cap.
would he have been found not guilty?
Yeah,
like for example,
no.
and I know a lot of people think no. I'd probably think no.
Yeah.
You know, and so I know that's also another part of like what's involved in this, less than even the material facts necessarily. Also, like the way these white people like rush to the defense of this kid, like donated thousands of dollars to like his defense fund.
Yeah.
Like all of that is like also wrapped around this, not even just like, what happened. So it's really complicated and messy, and that's kind of the reason I kept myself for the most part aloof from it. But yeah, I mean that's really all I have to say on it. I don't know. Again, I think there are like broader conversations to be had about the type of behavior that Rittenhouse displayed. I don't know. What do you have to say? I know you have.
I
some
saw
ideas.
a breakdown of it on YouTube. When it first initially happened, by this channel where the black guy's a host, but he's like conservative. He might be like a Blue Lives Matter type. So it's like very interesting.
Yes.
Like he's a black man, but it's also like,
oh, is it that dude who
he's
loves
a cop.
guns?
He's a cop or was a cop.
Oh, okay.
But and I don't like his content. But I watched that video, and from what I can tell from that video, again, it's only like one video. I maybe saw another one. I'm just watching a video. From what I can tell from the video, the breakdown was like pretty good. My issue is like the kids seem to be in self-defense, but what makes me I ask, why did you put yourself in the position where you even had to
defend
act
yourself
in self-defense?
Yeah.
Because you're running towards in that situation, it was an angry mob of people. Now people are gonna be like, no, you can't call them a mob. Like, don't, bro. It was angry group of people.
I mean, for whatever reason,
businesses were being
damaged. Whether it's a valid reason or not, it was an angry group of people.
It was like angry group of people. Businesses were being damaged. Now whether or not like I remember what happened was business owners in that specific area, they called for private security, and they boarded up their businesses, and they just told the private security guards like, hey, just make sure our buildings don't get destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, that's like legal as far as I understand. Like you have your private property, you call private security.
I mean, it sounds legal. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either. But this kid just runs in thinking like his freaking Batman.
Yeah,
with an AR-15, little white boy. He's like 17 years old. I'm like, this kid should be home playing Halo.
And
like,
I think
what
that's
is
probably
he doing?
the more important issue and like conversation to have.
Why do you feel they need to go out there with the AR-15? Like, dude, you're a kid.
Why are you looking for smoke?
Yeah, you want smoke. Do your
smoke.
homework. And I remember him saying, like, I was watching a lot of clips of him, like, yeah, I just want to defend my community and blah blah blah. I'm like, no, bro, you hiked up here for the smoke.
Yeah,
you looked for some action. That's facts, period. And I don't need a courtroom. Like, that's just logical sense. This was not outside your home, right?
Didn't he go across like?
He went across state lines, I think.
Yeah,
or at least county lines. Like, bro, it's different, right? If I had an angry mob of people with pitchforks outside my home and I had an AR, that's a different story. Because it's right in front of my house. You heard about a place 30 minutes away and you went over there when there's already private security there and coming like Batman.
A lot of these people were like kind of like wasn't the reason why there was like, I don't know, this galvanization. It was because it was like a perceived lack of action from the police. If, as far as I understand, wasn't that like a lot of like the case for Rittenhouse, for example, like, oh, the police aren't doing enough, maybe they need some help type beat.
Yeah, I mean,
we're the guys to provide it.
That's what I heard him say. Like, he was like, looks like you boys need help. Like, again, acting like Batman, like, looks like you boys, like, I got the backup. Like, calm down, bro. You're 17 years old. You should be doing your homework and playing games. And
yeah.
Like, it's just problematic. The whole thing is problematic, and also I don't respect his crocodile tears in court. He couldn't even fake this thing over.
You think they were crocodile tears?
I didn't see a tear. He just smushed up his face, but I didn't see a single like picture of him crying. I get it though. Like I'm just saying, like if I were in court, I'll be bawling out my eyes, right? If I was ever in court for like murder, I'd be crying. Actually, but I didn't see him cry. Did you see him cry?
I mean, I didn't really look at the thing.
I didn't see him cry. He smushed up
like,
his face,
hyperventilating and like, yeah.
It looked like whenever you get someone like you tell, like, have you seen those fake YouTube apology videos? That's what it looked like. Like when someone is acting sad, they do all the things they think sad people do, but they can't get themselves to cry. Like he smushed up his face,
Psychopath
he closed his eyes, and I didn't see a tear.
And
I'm like, why aren't you crying? I would be crying if I'm scared from. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, who knows? I just hope that kid gets some therapy and He need therapy.
Yeah. I'm also not sure if like, and I get why. Again, I understand like where all of this is coming from, but I'm not sure if vying for him to get like the maximum prison sentences for like murder, for example, is like the solution that needs to be there. In
I think
situation.
that comes out that black rage, which I get. That's what
and that's what that's and that's the thing.
Rage.
Like I completely understand where it's coming from.
Yeah,
I just don't like. Basically, like if you're like one of these people who don't believe in the prison system and like think prison should be abolished, for example, like prison should be abolished for everyone. Not just black people. Black people are like, again, one of like the biggest victims of that system.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like one of these people who really don't believe in like the prison system as a entire like concept or a principle or whatever, like no one should be getting that.
I think it comes from that place where even we talked about last episode where David's coming from, where it's like it's so emotionally charged. We've seen so many of memes or just Instagram posts on social media showing like the kid, right, and then like younger black children who are killed for times that they weren't even killing anybody.
Yeah, I know I've seen like a lot of Tamir Rice stuff.
Yeah, or just there's so many cases. There's like been a lot of comparisons made. And that is true, but it's true to feel that, but it's also technically false because it doesn't mean that
the situation aren't exactly.
They're not the same situation. It's also, it's like, okay, so are we just going to punish this white kid because no, we already punished too many black children, so we gotta take one of the white kids.
Yeah. Even if
blood for blood,
blood for blood,
and I think that's what people want.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're being honest with ourselves. We want to see that white kid get treated the same way as a black kid, and I get where they're coming from. And I think a great parallel, a great time where it should have happened, when it didn't, was that little white kid who was the school shooter, who was the church shooter.
Wasn't that New Zealand? Oh no.
No. The church shooter.
That was the masjid shooter.
No,
right?
Yeah,
in New Zealand. Yeah.
This kid with a bowl cut. He went to a black church.
Was it?
I don't know the name.
Bro, we've had so like. Is it Sandy Spring or? I'm
not sure, but he shot everybody, and like the cops escorted him like mad peacefully, and they got him McDonald's apparently.
And this is when people started talking about like teachers having guns in the classroom, right?
Yeah,
like that kind of stuff started to be. No, that. I don't remember what year that was, but yeah, I remember.
So like a circumstance like that, I'm like, yeah, man,
kill him,
straight up. Like he killed like what 30 people more. And like he didn't just kill people. He walked into a church. He walked into a place where people were like
Christchurch. That was called, right?
So.
Yeah.
He walked into a church and like killing people who were just trying to pray to God, like, and it was also like an all black church. And like you're a sick human being for that. Like, I say like, I don't know how you can keep someone like that in society.
I think Christchurch was New Zealand, anyways.
It's called Christchurch. Not Christ Mosque? I don't understand.
Christchurch Mosque. Shoot, I think the city is Christchurch.
Oh, yeah, that's confusing.
Yeah,
that's confusing.
No. That's still New Zealand.
The New Zealand thing was crazy. New Zealand handled that situation way better than we do in the States, though.
They did. What did they do?
Like the whole country came in unison with Muslims. Like right then and there. Like,
bro, did you read that dude's? Bro, I don't know if I'm getting confused between school. Like,
dude,
shooters.
They're all the same, bro.
Type B. But did you see his manifesto or whatever?
I heard of it.
That was bone chilling, bro. I don't even remember what it said. I just remember reading it and being like
some Nazi stuff. He was talking about Trump, like Trump. It also inspired like it's so sad to say, like a Muslim lady, a pregnant Muslim lady got kidnapped in Australia. Someone got inspired by his crimes. But like New Zealand, what happened in New Zealand after that was like, from what I saw, it was a lot of camaraderie. Like, and I feel like in America we wouldn't have seen that. We would have just saw like more disunity.
Except that politician, I remember.
Oh no, he
who got the egg.
Yeah, but you see, but even then, like the kid who did it to the politician was like a New Zealand kid who's not Muslim. And, like I think majority of the country got together. Like I saw like there was like a wall of people around the masjid to protect the mosque. And it was like all white people, like non-Muslims coming there. And it was just like a really beautiful thing. It was like very heartwarming to see like people basically just putting aside their differences and being like, yeah, no one should go through this again. And also like the way not all the politicians, but some of them did react. Versus in America, it just would have led to like more shootings. I bet you, bro.
Yeah,
More smoke. I don't know what it is with this country. So I think it's really interesting because like I like being American, right? Dare I say I love it. And even if I didn't, my life is where it is right now because of the privileges.
Yeah, because of the things you get access to living in America.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's also like a part of me is like whenever any kind of woke discussion gets brought up, like we're talking about Syria, Iran, or any foreign policy situation, I'm immediately like I get woke. And I'm like,
you're like
America does this, and that.
Yeah.
And like this government's like this, and that. And I still decide to live here. You know, and it's like I feel like I'm kind of like hypocritical for that. Because it's like if I was really, truly, completely against the system, like wouldn't I just move ultimately? Like I'd go somewhere else. Because at the end of the day, my taxpayer dollars go here. So every war that I disagree with, every political move I disagree with, I help because my dollars go there.
Do you think that that's avoidable? Or do you think that maybe it's not completely avoidable, but it's like minimized in certain places?
You mean being in America, or are you just saying like...
No, I mean like contributing to something that is just not like good.
I don't think it's avoidable unless like you drop off the grid. Like
so would the argument then be like you're reducing the amount of harm by living somewhere else?
Yeah. Somewhere like neutral in Europe that stays away from smoke. You know, like there's a lot of other places with like there's a lot of places in Europe that would give me the kind of lifestyle I have here, and avoid that, and I would avoid the problems here. But then another issue gets on top of that because I talked to my wife about this, like about moving, because I'm like, babe, I'm not trying to live here.
Maybe not built for this.
Maybe I'm built for this country. But then it's just like, I need to be somewhere with black people, you know. And Europe is just like super
homogenous for the most part. Yeah. I mean, outside of like the UK, right?
I'll never move to London, bro. Without bad weather, bro. I would never move to London.
But like a lot of like, I don't know, like the social, like the socialist, quote unquote, like the social democracies, like the Nordic and stuff. Like they have a lot of like great programs and stuff, but it's all like white people.
But it's like better than here in many cases. Like the general like happiness of individuals.
Yeah, and then there's like there's the aspect of community and stuff like that, and like maybe and there's also that the take that maybe our test is doing XYZ in the face of this like oppression. And I know like a lot of people like to reference like the imams and stuff that lived under oppressive governments.
Yeah,
like that's what a lot of people reference. I even know like I remember we were learning about the history of the Prophet, and basically after the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, one of like the provisions in that treaty was that if a Muslim in Medina becomes polytheist or whatever, or converts back to polytheism, then they can't be harmed by the Muslims there, and they have to be sent back to Mecca, right? But if a polytheist in Mecca becomes Muslim, then they don't have to be sent to Medina. And so there were people, I remember learning that there were like people that came to the Prophet that turned Muslim in Mecca and came to the Prophet after that treaty was established, and the Prophet was like, go back. Like,
I mean, yeah, because we don't break our treaties, type B.
We don't break our treaties, type B, and also it's like, this is not your struggle right now is to be there, type B.
Now, if I were them, I just would have told the Prophet, because then he would have told you to go back.
You don't think he would have known if he looked at you anyway?
No, but I'm just saying, I would have told them. That's the thing, but you can also reference this like the verse in Quran where, you know, like I think it's referencing the people who are like oppressed, and because of their oppression, they in the day of judgment, Allah is basically asking like, why didn't you do like what you're supposed to do? And their response is, well, we were oppressed, so we couldn't. And God's response is, couldn't you have moved? Like, wasn't the world big enough for you to go somewhere else?
I mean, I contrary to the memes, like neither you or I are like a mufassir, right? And so I don't know if there's like specific, like if there's anything more to that ayah or not. Like it's hard. It's a lot of times hard to like take these things at like face value all the time. because just there's like a level of depth and complexity to this stuff that we don't even have like the beginning of an understanding of.
Yeah. But
anyways, back to
feel
like
truly lost.
the broader point though, because I know like even like what do you think about people who are like, when you live in this country, like any not just this country but any country, you're like, you have a responsibility to be like a good citizen of that country, and so you should do your best to like work in favor of that country type beat. Like there are people who hold like this opinion. Like we should.
That's logical. What do you mean? Like, is there anything else to it? Like, that's Islamic, right? Be a good citizen.
Yeah, be a good citizen.
Yeah.
Obviously, unless it's like going against something
directly against your faith.
Yeah. But some people take it so far that they're like, don't even necessarily speak out about.
That's whack.
Bad things.
I mean, I think some people.
And then also people like to draw this line in the sand where it's like, okay, before you go out and protest, it's very Jordan Peterson-esque.
Clean your room before you look at others.
Yeah. Before you go out and protest, make sure that, you're doing all of your wajibat and you're doing all of this and you're doing all of that. And it seems like they kind of create this like, it seems to me like it's a false dichotomy. Obviously, maybe there's something I just am completely missing. But from what I understand now, it seems like this false dichotomy of like, you're either, it almost seems as if like, you should never be protesting because you should always be working to improve your faith. Because, like, theoretically, ma'rifah of Allah is infinite, right? We could spend the rest of our lifetime. You could be, like, super, super duper pious to, like, any random Joe Schmo outside. And you could still spend the rest of your lifetime trying to understand, like, trying to get closer to God. This is even something that we talked about in that Twitter fingers video that we made. Like, where is that line? Should there be a line drawn? Like, is there, like, I don't know, validity to that claim? And if there is, like, where do we draw that line? And it seems like no one has a really clear answer.
I don't know, bro. Bro, I don't know. But, like, I don't think everyone knows necessarily for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is, I'll let that ask a scholar. I've actually asked scholars this, and from what they told me, they don't know or they don't want to tell me the answer. Because I think it's, like, controversial. And I don't think we all every scholar comes to the same conclusion.
Comes down to the same place, yeah. Because, I mean, obviously not. Yeah.
Maybe this is one of those circumstances where, like, your feeling towards the situation also matters. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, we only know, like, maybe 80% of the answer, but what you truly feel deep down, like, your gut feeling, is enough to sway which direction you go to. Like, maybe, like, if you literally can't live with yourself when you live here in this country,
without doing XYZ.
Yeah, or maybe like you're like, I have to move. I feel I must move. Then that's what you need to do.
That's your prerogative. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know even what mine is necessarily. Like, I couldn't imagine myself moving from my friends and family long term, like raising kids without my community.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do just feel immensely guilty when I think about like being here, because I'm just like, ultimately it's like, I'm just, no matter how much I try to fight, it's just
I'm a cog in the system.
I am a cog in the system. I am benefiting from it, and I can try to be woke and say free Palestine, Black Lives Matter, stop the war on the Middle East, and at the end of the day, I'm contributing to it. Period, and I benefit from it. Like, whenever these wars happen and the economy goes up, I'm making more money. I benefit from it directly. So it's like, you can talk about it. I don't know. I don't know.
I have no idea either, bro.
Sometimes posting on Instagram, temporarily makes me feel like I contributed. Like, I post my angry rant on my story.
I mean, that's like the trap of, like, part of the trap of social media, right? Yeah. You feel like your influence is like way bigger than it actually is. Yeah, like, you're like, no one cares. You're like a drop in the ocean type.
Yeah, it doesn't help. I mean, maybe it helps a little bit, but does it ultimately?
I mean, but maybe this lends like credence to, or validity to, like, the claim that you shouldn't really be worried about like what the government doing. Just work in your own, just affect what you can affect. Maybe that lends credence to that.
I don't mess with that. I'm gonna tell you why. Because it seems kind of simpy. Like, it's just like, at some point, you cannot you got to admit that you're not perfect, but also check someone else for wilding out. And I think that's my issue with that philosophy.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I
like,
might not be perfect, but I see you beating someone up in the middle of the street. I'm gonna be like, yo, I don't pray on time, but you wilding out. And I'm not gonna let myself messing with my wajibah stop me from calling out this what's happening in front of me.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was saying before. Like they do make it this black and white, where it's either you do this or you do that. And if you're protesting, you're like almost by definition not focusing, like growing spiritually, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it is goofy. I think the only thing that might be said in response to that would be something like, well, maybe it's not as, like, what they're doing isn't as obvious as, like, someone beating someone up on the street in front of your eyes. Like, does the proximity or, like, the type of thing that they're engaging in, does that make a difference?
I don't know. I don't know, bro.
I mean,
what do you think?
I have no idea, bro.
You're smarter than me. You tell me, bro.
This is kind of like a so I just recently in my class that I'm taking, we did this we read this paper from Peter Singer, who's like this philosopher, and basically he has this theory about he has a famous papers like famine, affluence, and morality or something like that. And basically what he says is every single person who has their basic needs met needs to we have enough money to solve like world hunger, basically. And so every person who has their needs met needs to donate enough money to take people out of that out of like food insecurity and poverty and that some like that stuff. And so the argument that he uses is like, if you are like, he has a very like particular way of phrasing it, but I'm just gonna like give you this example and it'll kind of sum up what he tries to say. He says, like, if you're walking and you see a baby drowning in a puddle, for example, right? Even if you're wearing like the nicest, most expensive suit, every single person would say that morally you should jump into that puddle and save that baby. You know, even if you have like a $200,000 fit, right?
I don't know, 200,000.
What you should do,
yeah,
is jump in that puddle and save the baby.
Yeah.
And so then people, like, in response to that, people have said, like, well, the baby's right in front of you. What if, like, the baby that's starving in Singapore or freaking Bangladesh, right? They're not in front of you. That makes a difference. And then he's like, his response to that is, if there was a button in front of you and you had two buttons in front of you and one could kill a person that was right in front of your eyes and the other button killed the person that was like all the way across the world, would there be a difference in you pressing them? Like, wouldn't it still be murder?
No, but there would be a difference in your perception, which I think that's like a valid point. Like, you know the experiment they did on like I forget the name of it, but basically it's like one of the famous experiments they did. It's like they tested someone's willingness to hurt another person. Like the person's in another room, and one person is pressing the shock button, and they're shocking the person even though the person's in pain, but they don't see the person in front of them. So it's like that's like drone striking people. You know, like whenever it's depersonalized, it's very easy to hurt other humans. You know. Yeah,
but I say all that to say, just to bring it back to my question,
okay,
which is, does it being like way less direct, like what the government is doing that's bad potentially, right? Is it being way less direct? Does that make a difference?
Does it make it less bad?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't make it less bad.
Or does it make it like, because it's less clear, you shouldn't even worry about it?
It makes me care less.
You shouldn't, because it's less like clear and it's more like, I don't know, maybe smoke behind fog or whatever, right? Veiled. Because it's less clear and you can't like you're not like seeing that with your eyes like in that moment. You should just worry about yourself, bro. Like, worry about growing yourself religiously. Worry about like your sphere of influence and like who you can teach, who you can educate, yada 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 yada, so on and so forth.
I don't think it's less bad, but I do care less. You know, like, because it's just not in front of me. It's like your emotions are. I'm a very emotional person. I think as humans, like, your emotions drive you. So it's like if I hear a child screaming, it's a lot different than like me buying some Coca-Cola. I'm like, this hidden. Been like somewhere down the line, me buying that Coca-Cola funded an Israeli bullet that goes into a kid's head. I don't, I'm just like.
That was a really bad time for me to laugh, huh?
No, I mean, it's just like
you do got me in some awkward position, bro. Anyway,
I mean, it's just like that's the position we're in America, right? Like if we don't think too hard, you help you. Anytime you watch a fire Marvel movie, Israel getting their pockets a little thicker, like that's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, but even I don't know, like, yeah, for us, maybe we could just get up and move. Maybe we could. Maybe we could pack everything tomorrow and get on a plane and completely relocate and live our life somewhere else. A lot of people can't do that.
Yeah, I'm not a lot of people. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like what everyone should do necessarily. So I'm not saying like moving is the solution by itself. I'm thinking like, okay, if I moved, I would continue to try to be like woke, but also move.
Is there nothing like? Maybe it's like, okay, because of the people here that can't do that, I should say it's support type B. Is that not
support what?
Support them, because they're still living that, and they might be feeling it too.
Support the people who are with me but are too broke to move.
Yeah.
Support them like to move. What do you mean? How should I support them? Like support them, be like, hey, it's okay to get to be a crappy person and have our tax dollars fund the system.
But are you a crappy person because you have your tax dollars?
I kind of feel like it sometimes if I think about it. That's what I feel like. I feel like I'm like I feel like I'm benefiting or like I'm helping the system out. I don't feel like it's too crappy or else I would have been already moved.
Oh.
But I'm just thinking like, yeah, I'm definitely part of this. Like I help it benefit. I know it's like not in my country. Like the only way to not do it is to not pay my taxes. So maybe that's an Islamic argument for avoiding taxes.
Bro, I was talking about that.
I'd rather not pay my taxes because I don't kill Muslims.
But that's not even true. You'd still like find ways to run into it.
Yeah. So
even if you didn't pay
I don't know what I do basically. But and then also you run into the paradox of ultimately the reason why I'm even thinking about moving is because in my mind I have put certain injustices above others. Because if I went to some other European country, they're definitely profiting and funding some other oppression as well.
That's what I was trying to say in the beginning, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's definitely
true. And that's why I was like, so is the argument that you're like reducing the amount of badness because like America is the number one like corrupt, for example. Like
I just have a bias towards Muslim countries. Basically, I see a Muslim country.
But like, you have a bias towards Saudi, bro?
No, I have a bias against Saudi.
Okay.
I do not mess with Saudi.
That's why I'm like this corruption is present everywhere, pretty much.
Yeah, but it's also just like, again, it's because my bias and like America's a lot more in your face.
And then you can make an argument like, okay, so there are like a lot of like European Nordic countries. They're like mad atheists or like a-religious.
I'll bring them to God, bro.
No, but like, is it better for you to raise your child in a place where even though everything else sucks, right? They have support, they have family that can guide them and like be there for them in their faith, rather than a place where you don't really have that same amount of support, and on top of that, like the society is just like a god, a I don't know, just completely devoid of anything godly or religious. And like, I guess you can make the argument that America is that. I don't know, but like maybe the situation that would be different is that you actually have people here that you can like lean back on. I don't know,
bro. My third time telling you that today. Type B. I don't know anything, brother.
Let us know what you guys think down below. I don't think we're gonna come to a conclusion. Obviously, me and Matthew both are like, yeah, I don't know, bro.
I have no idea. I'm genuinely like, my brain just runs into walls whichever way I run about it, which leads me to like my theory. Like, this isn't advice. This is just me talking, FYI. But like, no, yeah, you should never take advice from me. But I was just thinking like maybe this is one of the circumstances that whatever you feel more strongly about is the way you make your decision. I mean, like, if you're listening to this right now to this point, which not that many people do, but like if this actually concerns you, like talk to a scholar and like do your own research. I just talked to scholars about it, and they kind of give me like different answers, which makes me think I don't think there's a one answer, bro. I think there's like a lot of books, and people look at different imams and what they did in different circumstances, and people don't actually know what to do with all the information because people look at Imam Hussein, and that's the example of the revolution, the action, and then if we just ignore every other imam.
We ignore every other imam, and we even ignore like what Imam Hassan did, and we even ignore what Imam Hussein did up until that time, basically.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't think we don't know, because ultimately what the imams were doing was listening to whatever God told them to do.
Yeah.
Not what a man was logically breaking down. Like, well, in this particular circuit, like it's not me like logically thinking it through. Like, whoa, I can do like I don't know the process there behind their actions ultimately. So we just got put us on that path, inshallah, for real.
Just pray for Imam Mahdi.
Yeah,
that's the moral of the story.
Moral of the story, But then there's also people who
take that like to the extreme.
To the extreme as well.
Yeah.
I feel like the only thing I hope I don't get into is like never being too comfortable with the decision I make, because maybe that's the point. Maybe that's what makes you like too close-minded. Because maybe you're someone down the line, maybe you get really focused on making the society better. And then what down the line 20 years later, what that ends up you doing is you're someone who's just like too invested in the current system. And you believe the system too much because you only see the good in the system. And when people say anything against the system, you brush them off. Or on the other side, people who are just so focused on revolution constantly. It's like, bro, you're just too focused on chaos instead of building anything up, because all you do is call people out for oppression. But you don't give solutions to problems either. It's like two opposite sides of the spectrum. And you don't want to be on either one. You just want to be doing whatever you understand God to be telling you to do at the moment. Yeah, which is like the most difficult thing.
It's easy to like say what's wrong.
Yeah.
It's hard to bring like other better solutions. Yeah,
we're talking about this in a group actually. We're like, so like what should the government's role be in society? Because like for example, we recognize like the CIA's like watching of everyone's like moves and data and everything, right? Like we don't like it, right? We're talking about it now, like data breaching and all that. So it's like, okay, then what should the government do? Should the government not look at your data at all? Okay, but someone brought up a good point. Like a lot of terrorist attacks do get prevented because the government's be looking at them emails, Like that was it wasn't my argument.
Yeah,
but like,
it's an argument.
It's an argument. So it's like, okay, then what is the government's job in society? And then someone.
I mean, it depends on who you ask, bro.
Yeah.
So it depends on who you ask.
That's what I'm saying. And one thing I noticed is that people always look at a government that they're not currently in as a better one because they haven't experienced the oppressions of that government. I know a guy who comes from Argentina, and this guy loves capitalism. I think we often see the government that we're not in as the better government oftentimes. Like a lot of people, for example, you come from like a country that's more like from socialism, and then you just think capitalism is the move, but us, like my generation, right, we're all like in America, we're like in this capitalism regime, and all of my peers who are woke are like pro-socialist, are like fake what's the word, fake communists, and it's like yeah, but like we still live in America. How can we have a move to like a country that actually believes in this stuff? Why? Because it sucks. That's why.
I mean, but they'd argue that it sucks not just because of like the reason that it sucks is not communism or socialism. It's like it's like U.S. like sanctions and stuff like that. Like Cuba, for example. Yeah. There's like
or
way
Iran,
more things.
That's the case in Iran.
There's like way more things happening than just socialism. So that's what they'd point to.
Yeah.
If you were to say that, and like, of course, I wouldn't move there because they're getting destroyed by. Like the reason that they're getting destroyed is not because of socialism. But anyways, continue.
But it's just like
I think you had a broader point.
Yeah. The point is like we're looking at another country and we assume what they're doing is better, but we haven't experienced it ourselves. And ultimately, it's every system is like a give and trade. Like we traveled to Iran before, and like Iran has some things that are like way different than here that are good, and also a lot of things that suck. Like the Wi-Fi being so slow in Iran, like you can't like the streaming services. services in general in Iran are just not like popping like they are in America.
Yeah.
We just have everything streamlined here. It's very efficient. You get anywhere. We actually have red lights and people listen to the traffic laws most of the time. You know, you can call an Uber and all that. And Iran doesn't have lots of that stuff.
I mean, they have a snap.
They have a snap?
A
What's
snap
a
is
snap?
like Uber, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. My bad. Well, it's even
but even like the stuff like addresses, like simple stuff like that. It's just wonky.
Yeah, bro.
Iran, bro.
But, there's no address.
It'll be like,
that's a Chapel Market.
like, walk down the road. If you see this, you've gone too far.
Yeah.
Stop at the shop. Ask Ahmad if ask if Ahmad's there, and then if Ahmad's there, he'll tell you that you need to go to the well. But then if you see the sign, you pass the well, bro.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, there's no utopia
Across the street from kill me with that.
Yeah, it's like there's a cucumber shop. Take a right, you go see some tomatoes. If you see a red door and it's open.
Meanwhile, that cucumber shop has gone out of business. And there's something else there.
Yeah.
You're like lost.
Yeah, it's like, it's just so different. I was just thinking about possibilities, you know, like I've lived my whole life in the same place. I don't know if I want to keep staying here. But like the only thing keeping me here, I think, for us, like friends and family.
Yeah, I mean, like in my mind, even when I do think of moving, it's like, oh well, I keep my cushy American job and work remotely.
Yeah, because the bag. I think the bag is like.
But in that case, your taxes are still going to like.
I don't care. That's what it goes down to. It's at the end of the day, like the bag is the sustenance is like everyone's first goal. Like that, because that's what allows you to feed your family. So we be doing things for the bag, but it just kind of makes you think, like, what if we can live in a world where the bag wasn't so trifling? You know, like maybe
that's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
The bag wasn't so trifling.
I'm not even a socialist or a communist per se, but I'm just like, at some point, like, there needs to be, I don't know what it is, but there needs to be something that allows people to like maintain, like, even like if it sucks, but like some level of like housing and living without making like $150,000 a year, bro, because inflation is going crazy, bro. Like,
absolutely,
my money is not a lot of money when it should be a lot of money, bro. I was watching Psych, and Gus was talking about how much he made, and at that time he mentioned something like $50,000, and I was like, that's broke. And my mom was like, no, back then I was like, good money. That was like 80,000 now, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, like the buying power type beat.
Yeah, like now, like my money is like worthless. I feel like I have to make so much more money.
I mean, bro, 50,000 if you're living by yourself, even if you're living with a second person, you're not doing bad.
You're not doing awful.
You're not the richest person in the world. You're not the richest person in the world.
Yeah, but it's still like.
But you're not broke.
That was a lot more though.
You're far from broke though. Like,
yeah,
baby. So even now, 50K is like. I could comfortably pay. You could comfortably pay your like 2 car notes, a mortgage, and get your groceries and stuff with 50K, bro.
In other news, I also want to talk about something that's happening like in the YouTube space. One of the self-help YouTubers Hussein and I both follow by the name of Hamza. Love that name, Hamza.
This is completely irreligious, by the way. Like, he's not religious. He just comes from a Desi family.
Brother, he's a man of God. What you mean?
I mean, he says himself. I mean, he did. Let me not get into this. Continue.
Yeah, he made his video, and it was stupendous. It was aslan beautiful, mashallah. Red pill YouTubers are traumatized, and dude, he said everything I feel like Hussein's been like trying to say about red pill on this channel. Like, so many good points being made, like, and I think it's really cool because he talked about in the video how he recently's been having therapy, which I think, again, is very beautiful for a man to be masculine enough to even talk about going through therapy, because most of these guys on YouTube are pretending to be way cooler than they are, lying about their body counts when you shouldn't even lie about a body count to begin with, because it's not cool to sleep with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, it's all like Allah, it's a mess. Allah help us. But I think it was really cool, the video Hamza made. Like, he was showing clips of these like red pill YouTubers, and he was like, bro, these guys are all
traumatized, basically.
Are all traumatized from heartbreak. Like, there is a girl in their life that made them feel like they're less.
And it could have been their mom. It could have been their sister. It could have been like a girlfriend or whatever.
Or girl who wouldn't have them as a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And they just
held that resentment in, and now they're like, women are less than men. Like,
what you have to understand is He made like such a great reference. He was like, you hear these red pill YouTubers and they kind of talk about women like they're this other group of humans that are withholding their resources, and we have to study them to figure out how to get their resources, which is them. Like they are the resource.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm like thinking about like that's very true. Like when I said before, like I was in red pill, I think. Dude, these guys were like straight up like, these women, they don't love you, G. They don't respect
and
you.
and then the way they the way they quote unquote clean it up is they're like, yeah, and this is like not something to get upset about. This is just their nature, bro.
Like that sounds like racism.
It
does sound like racism, right?
Bro, do you
like stealing is just black nature.
or like
violence,
subservience,
violence.
Like there was this freaking I was reading in one of my classes. There was this dude. He was making like a medical argument, bro. Like he was making a medical argument for this disease that basically mostly happens to free niggers, right? It happens to free niggers because they're free. And
bro,
they need,
I didn't say that podcast. say that word, not me.
This is me. This is me.
Okay.
But he's saying like he's like making this claim. He's like, yes, basically they're angry. They're angry and they get upset and they're lazy and they start working less because they don't have like the white man's hand to guide them.
Don't got massa.
They don't have the white man's hand to guide them. And because of this, they also start suffering from like sicknesses and diseses.
They need it like house elves.
And this
like
condition
Dobby.
is like strictly for free niggers.
And like, they get depressed when they free them. Like,
Exactly.
we gotta help them out, brother. Come here.
And that's
They
exactly
put you to work.
That's exactly what it sounds like when they talk about women. They're like, yeah, bro, they just gold diggers by nature, bro.
You know, they need to be abused. Like, you hear them too. Like they'll tell you about how to text women, how to talk to them. And it's like, yeah, be mean as possible. And I think again, like Hamza's greater point too. Like he also talked about on the woman's side of the spectrum, like these guys are these men and women are both toxic. Are just betraying or
attracting. They're like attracting the kind of people that they don't want, basically.
Yeah, because they're both portraying what their parents were doing. So these guys are acting like their moms, and their moms were being with guys who they're acting like now, which is why they're crappy. And it's a cycle where basically we're gonna have a bunch of fatherless kids who are resentful of the world, the same way these current red pill guys are. And I think his greater point was connecting it to the issue with hookup culture. And I think, bro, Hamza coming back to Islam, la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, bro. Because no, like no cap, like he literally mentioned it. He didn't go off the point. He was like, do whatever you want, but like it leads to hookup culture, and it's just not good for kids.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand how we I don't know when we started thinking it was cool that having sex with as many people as possible was like a good thing. Like, do we not look at the consequences of our actions? Just think about, like, I mean, we all know somebody whose dad wasn't there for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sucks. It doesn't lead to anything good. At the end of the day, it just leads to, like, you looking at men or women as tally marks on a list of people you slept with.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, these are people, you're going to make kids, and these kids are going to be all messed up because of people not having consequences to their actions. And at the end of the day,
this kind of ties in with what I was talking about, like, I don't know, 3 episodes ago, the one we do the Haggy. Like, we glorify promiscuity, and then some people like demonize promiscuity for women, but then they don't talk about like the negatives of promiscuity and hookup culture for everyone, not just women.
I've decided it's not good for anybody.
Type B. I mean, it is.
Promiscuity is not good for anybody. It doesn't make any. We're not animals to the extent where we just can like pump and dump and not raise our kids. We're just not. Like, human beings, like, whoever's acting like you can just have sex with people without having any emotions, you're capping on some level.
Absolutely.
Like, or your soul is so
sucked dry
because of all your trauma, and you just have sex with people until you're numb,
bro.
Yeah, you're numb. You're literally numb to the pain. Dude, like Hamza, like I hope like no kids are watching this. I'm not saying to be crude, but like I think it's cool because he's a guy who like
he went through that.
Yeah, he like was like going to parties and like was in like that hookup culture scene. And you can see him as like a very attractive Chad man, bro. So like he's not like it's different versus like us as Muslim guys talking about it. Like we're kind of looking in, kind of,
Yeah.
and looking at what we struggle with. But like, he's a guy who's like
Experienced
done it.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool because he literally said like, bro, it's just short dopamine rushes. And at the end of the day, whenever you're hooking up with all these different people, it's just like masturbating. Like just like that's crazy. Like it's just meat to meat. It's just no
Wow.
spirituality. Should I not say that?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm just
It was
saying.
just a little much for me.
No, I'm just saying, like, you know, like there's no like this is not what we're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
We're meant to be making connections.
There's
with
no
people.
like higher purpose in it type B.
Yes, bro.
Yeah.
And then the people are miserable too. Like you see, like on these redpill YouTubers, they talk about like, all women are like this, G, and she don't respect you and blah blah blah. I'm like, cause y'all don't share the same values. It's because you're in a transactional relationship that's just about sex. Well, how else are y'all gonna be like what did you want?
Yeah.
You want someone that like you, but
And
you're
that's
not,
what I've always said. Like exactly that. Oh my God. It was beautiful.
It was a beautiful video. Shout out to Hamza. We should have him on the podcast.
You think so?
I think Hamza would love to be on the podcast.
You think you would?
Yeah, man.
We should email him, bro.
I emailed him
You did?
about editing videos. He hasn't responded. I also sent Hamza a voice note on Instagram. He hasn't even read it. Because he said on his YouTube channel, he was like, hey, yo, mate, send me some voice notes, you know? Human connection in it. No, like texting.
You sound nothing like him.
Hear real business voice. What is the name of the chat name? Adonis. Adonis is laid back and cool. Yeah, I'm crushing on Hamza. It's a cool guy though. I like the video. I think it was a good message. I think it's we need to talk about it more and more and more because I am straight up like just trying to prepare the world for at least when I have kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want my kids to be running around
Lost in the sauce,
trying to get attention of random females who don't even matter to them for simple dopamine rushes. But yeah, that being said, I guess it's kind of a woke discussion talking about the world of politics,
Yeah.
corruption in the political system and the justice system,
Posing philosophical questions about the extent of our culpability and the actions of our country we live in.
Yeah, and then also just like I guess our issues with the culture, with hookup culture, I guess male and female.
And like
relations.
a Kyle Rittenhouse overview that wasn't too in depth because we didn't really know that much. But anyways,
Yeah, we tried though. If we get more in depth, it would have been just irresponsible. By the way, I think we're almost approaching episode 20.
we are
That's crazy, dude.
putting in the hours.
Put in that work. Yeah, I'm hauling that grass.
Wait, what
But-
kind of grass?
I mean that grass. That's cash. That Patreon money, I'm about to go end this go. I'm about to upload the video. No, but it's so crazy. Like we started this episode almost a year ago. Maybe.
Oh shoot! It was like in February.
Wow. So it's been almost a year since we've been uploading 20 episodes, which means on average we've probably been uploading basically like twice a month. It's good work. If you guys like it, keep showing us the love. We appreciate it. Our patrons are showing us that they like it. So if you want to support us monetarily, which goes a long way because it helps us with things like getting guests on the show, which we are working on. I know we promised that earlier, but people have been people have been busy. It's at the end of the year. It's kind of hard to schedule people.
Yeah,
in
holidays
now.
and stuff.
But if you don't got the Patreon money, don't even trip, because the best thing that you can do for the podcast is just to listen up to this point and then like it, because liking is free, and then commenting your opinions, because we actually want to know what you guys think, whether you guys disagree with us or not. On the last episode, we had some hot take comments, and all comments are welcome, honestly. Free speech type beat. So share, like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon if you can. Share this clip on social media with your friends, and let us know what you think about the Thoughtful Banter podcast, where we try to promote thoughtful banter. You know what it is. It's your boy Mac D with my co-host Hussein, and we are
Yes, sir.
out.